I can't remember the last time an All-American came back to the U of A for another year. I mean, just off the top of my head, I think you probably have to go back to maybe like Jason Gardner after his junior year. I don't.
Yeah.
It,
Yeah. And
it,
he wasn't even like a first teamer
he
or
was like
second
a yeah, it was
teamer,
like
you know,
a
but
yeah. But I think you got
yeah,
to go back a ways.
and in the pantheon, right? Sean Elliott, of course, would
Yeah,
have been, first teamer coming off
right.
that '88 run to his Wooden Award season as a senior in '89. I know there's a few others that you might think of that became first
Right.
teamers in their return that were on the cusp. A Bibby, a Miles Simon, MOP coming back. So don't want to put too much pressure on
Right.
Caleb by any means, but having that talent, and most importantly, I'm going to go to this with the experience of a
Yes.
Caleb Love coming back to this roster. You look at the final four teams of the last 2 years, and I believe, if I did my math and my research correctly, there might have only been one freshman in the starting lineup of any Final Four teams of the last 2 years. So double check that. I might be wrong. It
I
might have
think
been.
you're
I think
right.
Alex Caravan 2 years ago with UConn. I think might have been the only freshman, and there might have been a red shirt or something. So this is where the COVID years kind
Right.
of
Kind of blur. Yeah.
blur it a little bit. But point being, you cannot teach experience. You cannot have someone who has that many shots, that much experience. You just can't teach that with an incoming freshman. And as talented as freshmen can be, I love the fact that our starting two guard has this much firepower and experience with Caleb Love.
And that's what baffled me this offseason. We would get a lot of people, and they're wrong. I mean, generally I'm wrong and they're right, but they're wrong on this one. That would be like, oh, I'd rather have the freshman. No, you wouldn't. You know what you have with Caleb Love. Was an All-American. He was the conference player of the year. Now, granted, it didn't end on a great note. I get that. But think about it this way. Like with, people think of players as finished products. Khalid Reeves didn't average 24 points a game as a freshman. He averaged 7 points per game. I mean, very few shooting guards are ready to come in. I mean, you saw Gilbert, obviously, he was ready, but very few shooting guards are ready to come in and be all conference caliber players immediately, Rhino.
And you look at guys that everyone in the Arizona Wildcat family would look back fondly on and say, wow, that guy was super talented. Wow. What was he like as a freshman, though, are the questions. And you
Right.
pointed out Khalid Reeves. How about Andre Iguodala? Long,
Yeah.
great tenure in the NBA. And everybody goes, man, if we just had a guy like Andre. Let's not forget, he couldn't crack the starting lineup his freshman year. He and Hassan Adams came off the bench. Did they help Arizona have a tremendous year, get to the Elite Eight? That level of talent? Yes, but it was more with Andre was the potential, right?
Yeah.
The ceiling was super high. Did Arizona completely realize Andre Iguodala's full potential in college? No, we didn't.
No.
We flat out didn't. And so your point of Caleb Love coming back, and now for Caleb, right? The growth opportunity for him is there. And I can only imagine that's where Tommy Lloyd's got to step in and develop Caleb. Don't just develop, KJ from freshman to sophomore, Jaden now keys to the kingdom as the starting point guard. The team is yours. Develop Caleb. How can he make people better? How can he take better shots? How can he know how to impact the game in more ways than just the spurtability, as Clark Kellogg would call it, on the offensive end?
What I'm excited to see too is that uptick in efficiency. And this is where you can't judge a book by its cover. Everybody's like, oh, he'll always shoot 31% from the field. He came here, shot almost 43%, which is up from, 36% the previous year. I think there's two next steps for Caleb Love, besides the one you mentioned. Getting even a little bit more efficient, maybe getting that into that 45, 46 realm. And Rhino, there's a lot of guys that can just shoot 3-pointers. I'm fine with him shooting threes, but this is a dude that can get to the bucket. I would like to see him be able to consistently pencil him in for 5-6 free throws per game, because I think he limits himself when he settles for the three a little bit too much.
Yeah, he needs to become that fully three-dimensional, three-level scorer, because he's got the mid-range game as too, the floaters there, and it really is efficiency across the board. I love how you're pointing out the shooting efficiency. That's the most obvious ones. But if you look back last year, in his career, highest assist-to-turnover ratio.
Right.
Most number of rebounds, most number of steals in his career. So you take some of those other categories. Can he increase his efficiency as an offensive player, not just shooting, not just getting more to the rim, not just getting more free throws, but cutting down turnovers? And he had some uncharacteristic turnovers. The guy has dribbled off his toe a few more times than you would expect a 3- and 4-year player to do. Cut those down, distribute more, and really, truly be a well-rounded offensive player.
You know what this also comes down to is not judging a book by its cover. Tommy Lloyd always goes to say, and you're behind the scenes in the program, you know this. Caleb Love's very well liked behind the scenes.